Hello everyone, it's a lovely day here in Connemara and I'm just pottering about in the garden doing little odd jobs. I'm just going to harvest some nettles and I've just been musing on the garden really. We've got lots of separate little different areas. So some days I'm totally here and I forget the other areas, and then tomorrow I might be totally down there in the woodland and I forget the vegetable plot or whatever. And it made me think about Professor Emoto's little experiment with some rice grains. He put rice grains into 3 jars of water. The first jar, every day he and his staff would say, "Hello, you're looking beautiful. Hope you're fermenting away happily." The second jar, they screamed and shouted at and abused and insulted the rice grains. And then the third jar, they just completely ignored. And at the end of the period of time, whether it was a week or a month, I can't remember, the first jar produced a really beautiful, tasty rice fermentation. The second jar was pretty horrible and nasty, but the third jar was absolutely disgusting. It was just like black sludge. And the point of the experiment was to show that if you're giving love and attention to something, it will thrive. If you abuse and hurt something, it will maybe get along okay, but when you ignore something, it just doesn't do well at all. So I'm trying to give attention to all the different areas in the garden, and it made me think about the world in general. There's a lot of things we don't give our attention to. So we don't think, for example, where does our water come from? We just assume it's going to come out of the tap. And we don't really think about where our food comes from and how it's produced. So anyway, the crux of my musings is that we can all be guardians of our earth. And even if it's only a pot on your veranda or a window box, you can give it your attention and shower it with love. Or a good thing you can do if you don't have a garden. You see, I'm so lucky. I've got lots of space to put my attention to. But if, for example, you lived in a city and you didn't have anywhere, you could just find a little patch in your local park and you could be a guardian of that patch and you could give it your attention. You could even make a few seed bombs and just see if anything comes up. But I think it's really important to bear in mind that what doesn't get attention doesn't thrive. So any little lonely spot around a city, whether it's a corner of the park or it's a grass verge or it's, some common area on your housing estate, maybe you could become the guardian of it. And even if you don't plant anything, just go sit with the few blades of grass or whatever little things are there and have a chat and maybe do a meditation, maybe do something practical, a bit of weeding or, as I say, planting seed bombs or whatever, and just see what happens. So I heard a story that in LA somewhere, in one of the poorer neighborhoods, There was a lot of vandalism, there was a lot of violence, there was a lot of physical assaults. And somebody took a little patch of waste ground and they put a statue of Buddha and they put a few flowers and dragged away an old mattress that had been dumped. And then somebody else came and put something nice. And after a few weeks, the crime rate went down. And more people began to beautify this little patch. It's probably no bigger than 2 times this little oat bed here. And it was incredible because with people putting their attention on this patch of scrappy land in the middle of a rough neighbourhood, by bringing that little bit of beauty and attention, it affected and impacted on the whole neighbourhood. Such a beautiful story, it makes me get a lump in my throat. So I think being guardian of a little patch of land like that, it's not just benefiting the earth, it's benefiting the whole community. And it really benefits you as an individual because you're doing something from the heart, which is always a beautiful thing, but you can see how it ripples out very quickly and impacts outside. If we all become guardians, things can only improve. The earth will improve in terms of she will regenerate and renew, and we will improve because our hearts will be opened by this connection that we've made by becoming a guardian. And so it can only, not as it did in the LA neighborhood, it rippled across the neighborhood. If we all did this, it's going to ripple across the world. So I'm not telling you what to do, but I invite you to join me in becoming a guardian. And I just think if everybody watching this just did this, we would already have created something really beautiful and wonderful for the future generations. Not to mention that we'll all just feel so much better in ourselves. Thank you so much for watching and letting me rant on a little bit about this topic, which is, you know, close to my heart. And thank you for watching. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you next time when we'll get back to something more prosaic. So have a lovely evening. Bye.